Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Home and Away, a podcast devoted to all things in and around the world of sporting Kansas City soccer. I am Drew Vanderblue, joined once again, as always, by my good friend Cody Welton. This week on the podcast, Sporting Kansas City finally returned to the friendly confines of Children's Mercy Park on Saturday night, but were unable to give the fans a victory as they fell to FC Dallas 4-2. Sporting Kansas City was able to take the lead early again, this one off a nice curling shot from the top of the box by Shapi Suleymanov. But in a familiar refrain, the team was unable to maintain their defensive posture in central midfield, and FC Dallas used that to pull them out of their shape prior to a nice cross ball from Shaq Moore into the foot of Petar Musa, and they equalized. Then things got a bit weird in the second half as the referee made a couple tight calls against Sporting Kansas City, leading to a penalty for Lucho Acosta and an early trip to the showers for Khiry Shelton, as Sporting had to play down a man for the last half hour plus stoppage time, while already down 2-1 on the score sheet. I think it is fair to credit Sporting Kansas City with the fact that they did still try pretty aggressively to attack Dallas's goal, even with a man disadvantage. But that led to two more fairly simple finishes for Bernard Kamungo and Lucho Acosta, given their openness at the back, meaning that outside of a late consolation goal from Santi Munoz, Sporting Kansas City would be heading into this 10-day break, having two straight losses after having seemingly to have somewhat righted the ship prior to that. The U.S. men's national team drama continued last week with Christian Pulisic and Mauricio Pochettino trading public barbs before that team thoroughly dismantled a Trinidad and Tobago team that seemed mostly disinterested in even attempting to play in their Gold Cup opener. That wasn't the only fun performance of the weekend, though, as the Kansas City Current continued their dominance at the top of the league while still missing several key players. They did let Louisville back into this one late, but then Temwa did what Temwa does and iced it after a nice ball from Claire Hutton that sent her running down the flank, and then Temwa did the rest. Cody, while I obviously had low expectations prior to the LAFC match a couple weeks ago, we did highlight this as a potential opportunity for Sporting Kansas City to return to some positive form. And unfortunately, I'm not sure that we saw much that should be giving us a ton of optimism that is going to be, consistently happening. They were not able to take charge of a game at home against a lower quality opponent. Khiry did make a couple lineup changes, so perhaps we could start there. Zorn Basong was added to Canada's Gold Cup roster, so things were quite thin at central midfield again. Although Jake Davis was in the starting lineup, did play for the first hour of the game. And then a little bit of a surprise, Eric Tommy was in the starting lineup at left wing in lieu of Daniel Shallowy. So what were your thoughts on the setup that Khiry used in this one, and did you think it had any kind of noteworthy impact on the game?
I think that the most noteworthy impact that I saw was a negative one, and that's that we've discussed Eric Tommy ad nauseum on this podcast, and the fact is that he does not bring what Daniel Shallowy brings. He has other skills and assets for sure, but at this point, Shallowy is probably the second or third best attacking player, and definitely Sporting Kansas City's most consistent performer in that respect. And so, not having him on the field, I think, really illustrates the lack of depth on the team and the lack of secondary and tertiary options. And when you don't have all of your best attackers on the field, it becomes really much more simple to shut Sporting Kansas City down. And from what I saw, and we were a few minutes late to the game. I didn't get there until after the first goal had been scored. But from what I saw, it was just Manu Garcia having to drop deeper and deeper and deeper constantly to get in on the ball, and then not being able to transition that into him being in a place to receive the ball in the attacking third, in a place that made for any sort of danger from Sporting Kansas City. And so, I think that is, it's just illustrative of the lack of quality depth on the team, and and I think it just made for a long night. And when you run up into a situation like this, you have very little, even against a team like Dallas, you have very little room for error, and you have to play almost perfect, and they were far from that.
Yeah, I think something we highlighted last week, and we've been highlighting throughout this run of improved results, at least since Khiry Shelton has taken over, is that the improvement in the underlying numbers has not been as significant as the results have been, and right. That it has been proved. I'm not going to say that since Khiry has taken over that there haven't been improvements. There have, but they haven't been at a level of a team that you would expect to be regularly getting victories in MLS. So right. They've been outplaying their expected points by a fair bit during this run. And and in this game, you saw just the limitations that the team has. I will say that I thought it was interesting. You talked about Tommy and his effectiveness in the attack. He does make runs that Shallowy doesn't. He goes into places that Shallowy doesn't. I'm not sure it's necessarily effective, but it's different. And I think that what I've noticed when watching this game, and especially watching it back today, was that they just don't seem to have consistent rapport with each other. So sometimes you'll see some plays pull off, and I think another noteworthy thing you said is that Tommy doesn't really have the sort of he's not adding in the attack on that side. And I actually made a note when I was rewatching the game. It wasn't until the 20th minute that they got a really nice progression stream going up the left side, the left flank, and it was actually beautiful when they did. And Manu got into that triangle with Tommy and Denbe, and then Joveljic checked to them as well, and it almost turned into a really nice play. It was very close to something really nice. And then we didn't see it again. I don't think in the entire game. And I think that's more indicative of what you and I have been discussing for a while. I almost want to clip it and put it in the Discord so that people can see what I'm talking about, because I think that these are the types of progression techniques you would want to see 4, 5, 6, 7 times so that it turns into a quality shot one of those times or 2 of those times, so that then you're getting the higher quality chances that turn into goals regularly. Look, I love that Shapi was able to get into space on his left foot and rip a shot. We know that if he can get that space and find that window, that he is pretty good at placing that ball. And I did like something that Devin Kerr actually highlighted on the broadcast about how Jake and Khiry were operating with Shapi that is completely different than what we see normally with either Basong or Memo over there at that 8 position. So I'll get to that in a second. But I think that there are not enough circumstances where they are playing into a prime scoring position like Dallas had in this game. Now, to be fair for Sporting, Dallas got the majority of their XG from the penalty kick onward, right? So the penalty kick, then the second yellow, they're up a man. Sporting is pressing for a goal while down a man. They get a couple tap-ins. So the preponderance of Dallas's, almost 4 XG came from all of that. So that's, I want to be clear about how, the defense giving up quality chances. But also, both Petar Musa and Anderson Julio's shot attempts in the first half, Musa's goal and then Julio's that got blocked, were extremely high-quality chances. Mm-hmm. And Sporting just does not get those regularly. They just don't create those.
Why do you think that is?
We've discussed this for a couple weeks now, just discussing should there be better patterns of play? Should there be more useful ways to, because you can't tell me that Manu Garcia, Jake Davis, and Jacob Bartlett are substantively worse than Sebastian Lletget, Patrickson Delgado, and Lucho Acosta. You can't tell me that, right? Mm-hmm. So, I think it's more of just a way of playing. Now, I will say Quill did some interesting stuff in this game to kind of free up Lucho, kind of in that 4-4-1-1 kind of setup where Lucho was flaring a lot left and right. But still, I don't see a means by which this team intends to play through the center of the park. And that is what enabled Dallas to create chances, is they were able to play through the center of the park and then go wide after they'd already broken central pressure. And it's just not something I see Sporting do very well.
Well, the other thing is that they're consistently able, and this is not just Dallas, but like a lot of teams have found success, playing in behind Sporting Kansas City, even not necessarily in counterattacking or transition sequences, but just in being able to drive the ball to the end line and then make cutbacks and crosses from there, and you very, very rarely see Sporting Kansas City do that. We know that Shallowy can do that. We've seen Ndembe do it occasionally. That is not something that Shelton tends to do. That is not something that Suleymanov tends to do. And so it just allows defenses to keep everything in front of them, and it just makes it easy. It makes it easy for the defense and too difficult for Sporting Kansas City to create quality chances.
I will agree with you that they don't do it enough, or they don't use that methodology for creating chances enough. But part of the reason why is that they're still too slow to progress.
Yeah.
So like when they get the ball to Shapi 1v1 with a fullback, he's not past their first two lines.
Right.
They have passed it around the wing to him there, and now he's trying to stand up against three defenders, basically. Like, the reason that Shaq Moore gets this cross off so cleanly is because Dallas used their shape to pull Sporting's midfield forward, and Lucho Acosta is pinned over on the far left, and so Shelton has to stay there with him. And so when they get their central overload, Bartlett has to make a late trigger press that he is 2 yards late to, and the next thing you know, the ball's behind them.
Yeah.
And now Dallas is attacking with 3 or 4 against Sporting's back 4, and that allows Shaq Moore the time and space to pick that cross out. And I got to be honest, Jansen Miller does a pretty poor job of following Petar Musa's run on this, because he's watching the ball and watching the cross and not watching the man. And then a guy of the quality of Musa, and it's a beautiful cross from Shaq Moore. Let's be honest, like, this is a very perfect cross, but he's able to pick that out because he's under minimal pressure, because Ndembe is still trying to close the distance to him because of the central threat that he had to sort of stay narrow and maintain. And that's part of the other problem that Sporting has, is they defend so narrowly that these wide angles are available to teams a lot.
Yeah, and that's a problem going back to when Vermes was still coaching. They just were, in the past 3 seasons, they have just not been able to get that sort of spacing down, and it seems like the proposed antidote for giving up counterattacks is just to play narrow, but then if you don't have a quick enough side to side lateral movement of your defensive group, then you're too slow to close out crosses, and you allow crosses or allow play in behind. And I think that's just it's just something that seems to have continued, and I don't know,
it's permeated this team. It is a thing that they allow that wide side cross over and over and over again.
Yeah.
It seems to be a feature of their defensive mindset.
Yeah. And they don't, which is fine, right? You can allow that if you know that
if you've got 8 guys in the box to clear the header, sure.
But they don't, right? They don't. Yeah. And that's not been, it looked to me like they were playing mostly just, standard, 4-3-3. Even defensively, they were lining up, in that narrow sort of 4-3-3 that we've seen Zavagnin move to, and it's just like you said, it's too narrow, and it puts especially the fullbacks on skates a little bit. And when you have I think Ndenbe generally does a good job, but when you have a player on the other side who's not a fullback by trade, and another player who's not a very good fullback by trade. I mean, it's just there's just so many.
Yeah, but in fairness, this play isn't on Khiry. Like he has to cover Acosta wide.
I totally agree.
And if you watch the play, you can see Jake recognize that they've got a numerical disadvantage overload on that side, and he starts to pull back and starts pointing to other players to be like, "Hey, yo, we've got to figure out this coverage." And Bartlett's just a little late to it. And part of that goes back to a conversation that you and I had last week talking about Bartlett, is that his positioning is so conservative that when something bad happens in midfield, he's late to press it. And that here you see he's 2 yards late to this pressure. And by the time he gets there, the ball's already behind him.
Even this weekend, I saw him multiple times pressing, being the highest midfielder in the press. And he
rotated with Manu a lot. So the thing you were talking about where you saw, so they have this, they're definitely doing a thing now in their control progression shape where a midfielder drops between the center backs and their three, right? Mm-hmm. They're not really tucking a fullback anymore. Mm-hmm. Ndenbe, for the most part, is the wide side of the front five. And then they're doing this thing with Khiry where he's very tucked in. He's very inverted, right? Sometimes in the midfield, sometimes in the front line, sort of dependent on where Jake is, at least in this game, which I did think was an interesting wrinkle, that with Jake playing that position, because Jake has played right back, you saw something that might be something long term here for sure. So we'll get to that in a second. But Khiry, because of that, so they're doing this control progression shape where a midfielder drops back. Half the time you saw Bartlett going high and Manu dropping back to receive and build out of that. I sort of understand why, because he's the only legitimate ball progressor you have in the midfield. But also it just seems like, how are you supposed to score if that guy's at the top of the D?
You cannot be successful. Not even like Ricky Pooch. That is the Ricky Pooch problem, right? That had to be solved in order for them to win a championship, and even in the midst of that championship run, you saw times when Galaxy really struggled, because if the other pieces of that puzzle weren't engaged in doing what they needed to do, it was requiring Pooch to drop deeper, and that's taking him out of the attack. And I really think that that's kind of what we're seeing a little bit. And I think that Manu can play that position, as you and I have discussed. Manu can play a deeper, more progressive passing position, but he can't do that and play sort of in zone 14, which is where we kind of want him. And so it's every week, win or lose, when we watch this team, it's just like the sort of cartoon trope of a dam springing leaks, and just you plug one with your finger and another one pops up, and you plug that one, and it's just there's just too many problems, and it's just frankly that the team is not good enough to compensate, because the players aren't good enough to compensate, and I think that that's really what it boils down to. And it was we're I think accustomed, or we can expect seeing that against a team like LAFC. It's a little bit more difficult when we run into a team who we perceive to be at Sporting's
at a similar level, right? Yeah. But you're at home against a team who is basically at your level, right, talent wise.
But like I said,
you sort of get worked a little bit.
Yeah, given the injuries, and given the substitution, rotations and the things that Sporting were having to deal with. Like I said, there's very little margin for error, and then once that snowball started rolling, it gained mass and acceleration pretty quickly, and they were not able to come back and really make a game of it. And it's kind of too bad, because one of the things that really struck me in watching the game is I know we've said this before, but like Manu Garcia is really freaking good, man. And like to say that in after a 4-2 loss is something, but he can do anything with a football. Like he is up there with Acosta and Evander and even Ricky Puig. Like he is up there with those players in terms of his ability to get a complete diversity of different passes off of his foot into players who many of whom don't even appear to be open, but he can see the play and then whether it's dink passes or whether it's no look passes. I mean, like he's got all of those skills in his skill set, and I hope that the front office does a good job of finding him, the pieces around him that enable him to really sort of move into that upper echelon of MLS number 10s.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's hard. I think it's hard to see on the stat sheet sometimes, and it gets into a little bit of ball knower category to talk about him because he is such a. This team is not very good, but he does so many good things that just don't turn into anything because this team is not very good. There were a couple like the chipped and dinked balls are like kind of his calling card. Like this is something he really likes to do. And he hits them so nice. And I've watched and they just go to nothing so many times. And it's so frustrating to me because I know if we had the right player in front of them that they would at least a significant number of time, a significant percentage of the time would turn into at least a good shot, right? And
yeah, so I think, but that's the thing is that we want those passes in the attacking third, right? We don't want to see those passes in.
Well, and I was talking about those. I was talking about a couple.
Where we are seeing a lot of his passing chops is in ball progression, which it's frankly it's kind of a waste. It's not putting the team in the best place to succeed, but they don't have really a lot of choice, right?
This team didn't need help getting the ball from their 18 to the top of the opponent's 18. They were always good at that. Like that was never the issue. And yet we're using the best ball progressor on the team to do that work instead of the work that needs to be done.
They don't need to use anybody except for John Pulskamp to do that. I'm being hyperbolic, but like no shit.
Well, a little bit, but also I will say this. Eric Quill had a very good game plan prepared for second balls in this one. I mean, Dallas was prepared for these. Like, in fact, they would intentionally build their pressure back to Pulskamp. I don't know if you watch this a lot, but like when Sporting would start to pass backwards, they wouldn't press that hard. It would be Lucho mostly. They wouldn't like press to try to win the ball. Like maybe if something bad happens, they get it or whatever. But it was more just to provide enough pressure to force the pass back to Pulskamp. So he would go long, and they would have their second ball possession retention or possession earning like system set up in place, and they were ready. Like as soon as that first header came in, they were crashing, and then they were immediately going downhill after that. So I mean, yes, you can do that, but also like enough teams know that that's a thing you're going to try to do, that they can set up a game plan for it. And a team like Dallas, who doesn't really care about holding onto the ball, like they were perfectly fine to sit in their mid block for this game. Like, and they were very organized. They were in kind of a 4-4-2 mid block shape. They kept their defensive line above the top of their 18, and they would get their line super compressed and just try to make Sporting try to pass into their 18. And there was just no space. No. And it became a thing that they were just struggling to break down.
And it was clear that they recognized the problems that we've highlighted with Sporting's inability to press coherently as a team, because when they had the ball, when when Dallas had the ball. I mean, they would just basically run like, four flat attackers across Sporting's back line, and they were essentially in like a 4-2-4, and Sporting could not make them pay for that often enough to force them out of it. And so like I said, it's just it's just another reminder that this team still has a very long way to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think Zavagnin said it in the press conference afterward. He's like, progression isn't linear.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's not. It's something that's going to take time, and there are going to be dips in performance and high points in performance, and I think I tend to agree with that. But I think the point that you made is just sort of indicative of where this team is. It's just like there's never a circumstance where all of the 11, or even, I don't know, 7 of the 11 are having a good game.
Yeah.
We get
it just like
2 or 3.
So many things have to go right in order for the team to get a good result. And
like I think Shapi probably had his best game in the shirt. Like I felt like he was probably his most effective that he's been in months. Not the goal notwithstanding. Like he was much brighter. He seemed to be much more active. He's never going to be a great defender, but he was much better in this game than he usually is. And he got on the end of some dangerous stuff, or at least danger adjacent stuff, a lot more than we have seen. Or at least a lot more times in a game than we normally see from him. But it was also combined with a little bit of it was candidly not a good performance from John Pulskamp in this game after he had been sort of improving quite a bit. Just did not have his best night. I think Bartlett was very bumpy. I think Jansen Miller had some big mistakes. He had the big clearance, but I think he also did some stuff that I didn't like. We'll get to that here in a second. I think that, we've seen some players play really well lately. They did not play great. But other players like Shapi played really well. And so it's like we can't ever get this all at the same time. And I think that is more, that highlights more than anything the limitations of the quality of the players on this team, that you are going to go through these sort of swales, up and down swales in performance. And that means that you need to be able to, when that guy's on the downturn, replace him with someone who's playing well. Yeah. And they don't have that guy on the bench.
They do not. Yeah, they absolutely do not.
So they're basically left with putting the most talented players they have on the field and just hoping they all play well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just kind of where we are right now.
I totally agree. And
all right, so let's talk about how Jansen Miller's doing. I think that we've been pretty, for the most part, impressed with Jansen Miller as a player. Mm-hmm. We have lauded his performances in the past. I still think he's probably one of the best center backs on the team. He probably is the best center back on the team. I don't think probably. He is the best center back on the team, which is another conversation we need to be having about the quality and the depth of this roster. But he is still a 23-year-old rookie that was playing college soccer last year. And I think that we need to be honest about those limitations and the things that have sort of shown up in his performances, specifically in this one. So this guy, what's the best way to describe this? He's a very aggressive defender. We know this, right? Like, we know that he will sort of try to make plays as a defender. And I think at some level that is a positive, right? Like, we want those guys to try to attack the ball and whatnot. I think sometimes it causes him to try to close in places he doesn't need to, which pulls him out of position from the places he should be. Again, I highlighted the part with the first goal with Petar Musa where he doesn't even track Musa's run because he's sort of getting a little bit narrow and trying to cover Joaquin Fernandez's area when he should have been flaring to the back post and looking for that cross. There was a whole situation. I don't know if you remember this or not, but Musa and Acosta got kind of in a 1-2 situation on Sporting's right defensive flank, and Shelton was sort of going with Acosta, and then Musa was dragging inside, and sort of they did this 1-2, and Miller tried to crash to the ball when Khiry was already there, and it caused this really semi-dangerous situation where Joaquin Fernandez had to make a pretty awkward slide tackle in the box to clear it. Had he not timed that correctly, that's probably the first penalty kick of the game, right? And so I think, and there were a couple other, the whole Burner Kamungo thing on the third goal when Kamungo gets this tap in. Miller is crashing to an area he doesn't need to go to. And if he just maintains his positional discipline, he's actually in front of Kamungo when he tries to hit this shot. Yeah. Right. And it's just there are a number of circumstances like that where he's getting pulled out of position a little bit too much by the play. And I just like to see him improve that. Now, John Pulskamp makes a huge mistake on a ball at the end of the first half, and Miller makes an insane read, seeing the fact that Pulskamp's way out of position, and instead of staying with the player and the ball and the goalkeeper, flares all the way back to the back post and makes the clearance, right? So there is stuff that he also sees and reacts to that's really, really good. And his possession, his passing and possession is getting a lot better. He's becoming a little bit of a weapon on set pieces. We've seen him get close a couple times now, and we're seeing him play. There's Sporting set pieces are getting a lot better, and he is a big part of that. So I think that all of that is good. And as Carrie mentioned, and as we've mentioned, development's not linear, right? I think it was an interesting thing that they noted on the broadcast when talking about him is that they're obviously they talked to Carey before the game, or a couple days ago, whenever the broadcast team gets to Kansas City, and they highlighted a whole conversation they had about how they're treating his development and how they're looking at giving him choices as opposed to giving him specific instructions. It's giving him choices and trying to help him understand. And so when something goes wrong, it's not hey, this is what you did wrong. It's more what if you chose this instead?
Right. Yeah.
And you can see a guy who had never played pro soccer adapting to the speed of pro soccer and making intuitive adjustments quickly. So I don't want to make this sound as bad, but also he's still a work in progress.
And he's playing with a new center back partner
who
as
sucks.
well.
He sucks.
He really does. It's a yeah. I was kind of hopeful that maybe he would come back and he would work into fitness, and we'd be like, oh, okay, yeah.
It's another $2 million down the fucking drain, dude.
No shit, man.
Jesus Christ.
It's the center back thing is a really big problem.
We just got to stop signing Euro center backs for $1 million plus a year.
That's part of the reason why I'm so willing to look past Jansen Miller's faults as a player, is because all things considered, I'm still pretty happy with him as a signing and his development, and he doesn't cost a whole bunch, and he's domestic, and the positive
we went into all the roster benefits of him in the last week. I don't think we need to reiterate those, but I think the thing is that this team has not been successful at signing in a non-domestic center back at all, have they?
No.
When's the last one? Aurelian Collin, maybe it might have been the last one that was good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just been this history of totally flaming out on these, and especially in recent history of it. And I mean, granted, to Mike Burns' credit, fairly sure that Joaquin Fernandez's deal was done before Burns became the sporting director, and this was just something that happened after he had arrived.
That everything about the Fernandez signing is classic Peter Vermes. Like it really
is 100% is, and the player you see looks like the Peter Vermes type of center back signing as well, like of the previous sort of regime kind of mindset. But I mean, man, I like I said, I rewatched this game today. He's not good.
So the thing is also is it really sort of underscores the importance that you and I have discussed in past podcasts about it's not just about just your raw skill as a defender. It's also about your rapport with your other counterparts, and like I think that what we're seeing now is an indication that the Jansen Miller Robbie Volater pairing is maybe bigger than the sum of its parts. Maybe not by a huge margin, but it definitely is. And they play
way better than what we had on Saturday night.
Absolutely, they play better when they're together, and they upgrade overall the defensive floor of the team. And so like I think that is something that I think is like doesn't show up on the FBref radars and the stats, but I think it's just super important when you're talking about center backs, and so that is another just like glimmer of hope, a little bit of a silver lining that makes me think that it might be okay.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. I mean, I don't know if Jansen Miller and Robbie Volater is it for this team to be a trophy contending team.
That's why I was kind of couched in my in my statement. I'm still not like there, but I think that they're good enough as a pair that they can let you work on other parts of the squad.
Yeah, for sure. While you're, this team still needs a useful center back regardless. But there may be a question as to whether or not going to a European signing or something or whatever signing this summer is the right thing for them to do, given their inability recently to get effective quality out of that type of player, right? A TAM level European signing has just been not something they've done very well with. And I mean, I just think about the fact that, there are like Tim Parker and Aaron Long and all those kind of guys make Joaquin Fernandez money.
Yeah.
And those guys are just much better MLS defenders than he is. And maybe it's a thing about it, not the playing center back in MLS, not translating to the European game. I don't know what it is, but it's just not working. And if you look at the best teams in the league, a lot of them have a domestic center back.
Yep.
As kind of their anchor.
Or two. Or three.
Or two. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just, it's not uncommon for that to be the case. So I don't know. I think that I've been obviously very pleased with Miller and the addition that he's made, and it's been a desperate area of need for this club for a long time. I think he needs a good, solid veteran next to him that can enable him to do the things that he's doing. And probably somebody with some wheels. Like, I think of it like if I'm going to make my my weekly Tottenham comparison, Christian Romero plays center back a lot like Jansen Miller does. He's a little bit chaotic. He's a little bit aggressive. He's going to slide tackle sometimes. He's going to get out of position, but he's also going to range into the attack with the ball at his feet. He's going to do those kinds of things. He has Mickey Van de Ven, the human eraser, next to him.
When he's healthy.
When he's healthy. When it's Ben Davies, not so much.
Not so much.
Kevin Danso, not so much. Uh-huh. But when Van de Ven's healthy, like we know he can run down anyone in the Premier League, right? And that is kind of the benefit they had, especially the way that Ange was playing. I have no idea what Thomas Frank's going to do. It'll be something different. But that is why that pairing works so well together. Is Van de Ven's a lot more conservative and also capable of snuffing out counterattacks basically on his own.
Well, I think that, to that point specifically, that is the acquisition of that type of center back is like far more likely now than it was 6 months ago. And so I think that I think that there has long been a lack of, speed and athleticism at that position for this club in favor, allegedly of, passing prowess and that sort of thing. But
it's not allegedly.
I mean,
I know for a fact that Peter vastly preferred a left-footed passing center back in that position.
Sure, but I don't find Rosero.
But part of it was because he had Matt
Fernandez
Besler there for 10 years, right? When you have Matt Besler there for 10 years,
yep,
you essentially try to replace Matt Besler.
Right.
And it's kind of like the Moneyball thing. It's like, we can't replace Giambi, right? Like, we can't replace Besler. You got to come up with a different way of doing it. And Vermees just kept trying to replace Besler.
Yeah. I was speaking more specifically about, Rosero and Fernandez, who seem less.
Or Nicolas Isimat-Marin.
Right.
Or
I mean, those guys were those guys just attempts to recreate Iko Para?
Barat. Shall I go on? Like there,
Amor, Bernardo Amor, was that guy's name?
Yeah, Bernardo Amor. Oof. Yeah, I mean, there have been a lot of failed attempts. A lot of people talk about it trying to replace Iko Para. I don't think it was that. I think it was more trying to replace Matt Besler. Nuno Cuello, remember that guy?
Oh, goodness.
Remember he scored that 45-yard goal against Seattle?
It's a deep cut right there.
Yeah. Anyway, they're
Hey, what do all those guys have in common? Besides the fact that
they don't play for Sporting anymore.
But besides that,
they don't. I don't know what.
They're all foreign.
Yeah, they're all foreign. Yeah, exactly. A lot of Europeans. Cuello is Brazilian, I think, right? But anyway, but was playing in Portugal or something like that. So yeah, I mean, Mike Kuhn has already come up with 7 things I've said wrong in the last 20 seconds. So it's fine.
It's a day that ends in Y, Drew. It's okay.
It's fine. It happens. But yeah, I mean, I'm warmed by the fact that we have a good, solid drafted domestic center back. I look at Seattle with Yamar and Jackson Reagan, and I'm like, how do we get that? Yeah. How do we get that? That's all I want. I don't need former European Champions League winning center backs. I don't care about that. Just give us some guys who understand each other and understand MLS. That's all I need.
Yep, I totally agree.
So I'm not even. We talked about it. This wasn't Pulse Camp's best day. Let's just be honest about that. It wasn't very good. I'm not gonna tear it apart. He's been doing really well, as we discussed just a minute ago. Development is not linear. Pulse Camp is getting his first full season in the pipes. He had been pretty good for the couple months prior to that, so we'll give him a bad day in the office. It happens. The referee became a bit of a talking point in this one. You know how much I am loath to get into the referee conversation, just because I think it's the fucking whiniest way to deal with a loss. I really do. But I
think you need a Mark Kapfer section in the Discord, like you've done for Zach.
For Zach in the off-topic area, it's Mark Kapfer's referee bitching room.
Yeah,
maybe so. This is your weekly reminder to the Discord is available to anyone who wants to join it. The link is in the show notes. Come check it out. Participate in the conversation. And George Shook and I had actually a pretty good back and forth today about kind of his mindset about referees, and we know that he has a fairly dim view of referees as well. I understand it, right? I'm not diminishing people who want to discuss referees. It's a huge sports talking point in every sport. Anything you go through, referees are a huge talking point. Mainly because, in my opinion, because referees are viewed as the job anyone can do.
Right.
Right? They are viewed as that. I wholeheartedly promise you, no one in our Discord could be a pro referee. No. I promise you, none of them could do it. It's extremely hard. It requires a significant amount of experience and training to get to the level that these guys are at. That said, this guy was not good. He didn't have a good game.
No, he did not.
It was, I think, his second game since being the guy who gave the Diego Luna the red card that got rescinded by Disco after the fact and went to VAR, and then the VAR guy sent him to the monitor and he still wouldn't change his call, and then they had to rescind it later. So I'm not. That's just context for who we're dealing with here. I watched him I watched the replay of him giving the second yellow to Khiry, and the level of indignation on his face while he showed it to him. Like, bro, this isn't about you. You just look. Like it was almost like he was performing at that point in time, and I'm like, I do not read refs to be doing that. All that said, it is impossible to say that the two decisions he made in succession, first the penalty and then the second yellow, did not significantly impact the game. But also, that is the nature of soccer. Moments make outsized impacts in games that have another 90 minutes of a whole lot of other stuff happening or not happening, right? So, like, significant moments are what we lean on in soccer games, because it's not like the NBA when you're going to make 40 shots in a game, right? It's not like the NFL when there are, 4 downs to try to figure this out. You are in a position where you give up a penalty kick when you're 1-1 with an opponent that has been in a tight game. That totally changes the game. A goal means so much in soccer. So, similarly, you give the penalty kick, which Andrew Wiebe on instant replay said he preferred would not have been called. I think I agree with him in the fact that there weren't the video angles to prove that it was clearly wrong. I'm fairly sure it was wrong. I'm fairly sure Lucho dives and doesn't get... If there's contact, it's really, really minimal.
Yeah.
But there's not the angles to overturn it. So you can't, on VAR, like I understand why VAR doesn't overturn it. And then Lucho scores the penalty. Pulskamp not great on this penalty, by the way, at all. Like, Lucho's hips are wide open. Like, it looks like it.
I just figure, like, whenever there's a penalty, I just go into it figuring that there is no way
they're going to score. I mean, now that we no longer have Tim Melia, it's just kind of like, this is what it is.
Right.
Maybe John will look into one of it. I think he's saved that one against Chicharito in, like, 2022, and I think that's the only MLS penalty he saved. But then we have the whole Khiry foul. And to be fair, this is a terrible challenge by Khiry on a yellow card.
Everything about it is a bad idea. He's late. He's on the ground, slide tackling.
At high speed, like at a lot of, like he's coming in with a lot of velocity.
Yeah. He's really late too. Like,
yeah.
No. I have no problem with it, honestly. I mean,
yeah, I think that. So I'm of the same thing. At first, I thought he caught none. He didn't actually touch Pedrinho, but I actually saw later that he did actually catch him. And then the other thing is, and I think Devin Kerr made a very good comment about this. If Pedrinho keeps his feet, he might lose his leg. Like, that's how hard Khiry came in.
Yeah.
Right. So the fact that Pedrinho saved himself from serious injury does not mean that the challenge is okay.
Right. Absolutely.
And I think that's what Andrew Wiebe as well said in instant replay. And yeah, this is just a bad challenge.
It's a bad challenge. And to your earlier point, like Khiry cannot make that challenge already on a yellow without the suspicion that, it's gonna it's gonna be another yellow. Like, if you're on a yellow, that's just not a challenge you make. You can't make it.
It reminds me so much of the play that Pulskamp made that caused Jansen Miller to have to make the goal line clearance. Just completely misreads his ability to get to the ball.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Has delusions of grandeur about being able to get to this ball.
Yeah.
And it completely misreads it and ends up making and Khairy's a big dude, right? Like, we know this. And he's coming in with a lot of heat. And this is, I thought it was funny he went to Twitter to complain about it. It's not like Khiry tweets a whole lot.
I didn't even know he had a Twitter.
He does. It maybe about once every 3 months, and it's fairly innocuous when it happens. And then he had to tweet twice because he used the wrong there.
Oh, no.
He used the possessive instead of the conjunction. But he, it was just a bad challenge.
Yeah.
Like, I understand where his mind's at because he thinks he didn't catch him, but bro, like the angle and the speed at which he came in. If Pedrinho doesn't jump out of that, he's probably injured.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, I understand why the ref is a part of this conversation because as fans of this team, you want the team to do well. And these two decisions happen within about 90 seconds of well, they're not really within 90 seconds of each other because there's the whole VAR review on the penalty and whatnot. But fairly, like after the penalty, maybe 90 seconds later is when Khiry's second yellow happens. And now the whole game's like feels like it's lost because of a couple calls. And so I understand where the anger comes from. I got to be honest, like over 90 minutes, I don't think this ref did a very good job. I think that the penalty is probably soft. But I don't think that the yellow card was necessarily wrong.
Do you think the other penalty should have been called?
Other penalty?
Shapi in the box?
No. Okay. No. I didn't think so. There weren't a ton of replays on it. I will tell you that. When I rewatched it today, there weren't a ton of replays on it, but I'm okay with it not being called. Although I understand, like this is where I get on the whole Manu on the Luciano Acosta play, is that if you're not going to call that play, if you're not going to call that one as a penalty on Shapi, then I don't think you call the Lucho one either. I think this is one of those situations where, again, I think a referee who is probably not the best referee we have in the league sees certain things and reacts to them. So Jansen Miller sticks his leg out on Acosta and sort of pulls it away. I don't think he actually makes contact, but because he sticks his leg out, it gives the ref the sort of feeling that he stuck his leg out and caught him, and he sees Lucho go down and he makes the call. Similarly to the whole Diego Luna situation, if you watch that whole thing, and this is the same center referee, where he sees Luna pull his leg out and step down, and he thinks Luna like raked his cleats against the guy when he didn't. Right? And so, this is more like he's adjudicating the motion and not actually the contact because he didn't have full view of it. And this kind of shit happens, man. It happens in soccer. I don't know what to say. And so, I think I think most refs, if they look at that video, would prefer they don't make that call.
Right.
Because Lucho's he's looking for the because his touch actually goes way long, and so you can see that he goes down as opposed to because he thinks contact's going to happen.
Yeah,
and a lot of players in MLS do it, and Lucho's one of the best in the league at doing it, falling down, right? So I mean, also that's another play where Jansen Miller doesn't need to be there. He does. Yep. Joaquin is right there. He's closing something down that he doesn't necessarily need to. Anyway, there's a lot at play here. But, I mean, I don't think the ref was good. I don't think it's why the team... Well, I mean, the decisions that the ref had to make had an outsized impact on why the team lost. I can't say that that's not true. But also, I don't know that they were... so like obviously terrible,
right? But they also, even outside of those reffing decisions, it's not like they really played well enough to deserve 3 points. Like they didn't even come close to that. And even if you look at the non-penalty XG, like shots on target, big chances, like all of those stats sort of back it up, right? When you
only play an hour with 11 guys, that has something to do with that stuff. But yes, I agree with what you're saying.
Absolutely. But what did they create during that hour? Not enough.
Not enough. All their shots are bad. Yep. They took 5 shots, I think, and all of them are 0.05 XG or less.
Yep.
In fact, they didn't get any good shots until they were down a man and really pressing to try and score, which I did think was kind of fun. Like, Did this team actually look more interesting with 10?
Yeah, I kind of think that I kind of think that they did. I kind of like, that's one of the other, nice things about having Bartlett out there is that it gives you a little bit of options in terms of how you can creatively deal with having a man down. You don't have to, you don't have to shuffle around attackers. You can just drop him back into the back line and go with that. And I thought that it wasn't terrible.
Yeah, they were in kind of like a 3-2-2-2, 3-2-2-1. Yeah, 3-2-2-1. And it was kind of cool. It was kind of fun, actually. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Shapi's not a wingback.
No.
Like that, I don't want to see Shapi playing wingback regularly. But I mean, for the purposes of your down, this is the thing I love about Khiry. 2-1 or 4-1, it counts the same in the standings, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why not try to get 2-2?
Yep.
Why not try to do it? And this is something that's just completely opposite of how Vermes looks at it. Vermes would be like, well, we'll settle in and then hopefully we'll break a chance off, and we want to make sure we don't give up any more. Why? Who cares?
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
I mean, Zvagnin is not dogmatic. That's one of his most refreshing qualities, is that he is pragmatic as opposed to dogmatic, and he'll chase the game if he feels that he has to.
So what do you think about this Bartlett and as a middle center back as something they could use for other potential games?
I think that it is. I think it's definitely intriguing. I think that that's just one of those things that I really like about him as a player, and that having him on the team gives you that sort of extra dimension. And whether you use it in a situation like this, or whether you use it in a situation where you're up a goal and you're trying to see out and get 3 points, and I think it lends itself to more tactical flexibility, and it lends itself to the possibility of doing more sort of 5 at the back, 3 at the back type of iterations of whatever becomes the team. And
or
it
if
also
you're playing against a narrow team that
right.
wants to really bottle up the middle, and you want to focus on width.
Yeah,
and you can just play with a lot of width that way.
There are just lots of it. Just increases tactical flexibility, and I don't think that's a bad thing, ever. I think that having that is important, and it, from a squad building point of view, it also increases the types of other players that you can sign to help the team, and especially to add to attack on the team. And so I'm a big fan, and maybe a half step back during this game does not deter me from that at all. I still think that there's just too much upside to ignore it.
I think I was fairly impressed with how it looked. I think I mentioned last week that I think Eric Tommy could actually be a functional wingback. I think that's something that
attacking.
He could do. Well, but that's the thing. But I mean, you think he's a worse defender than Shapi?
I don't think. Yeah, I mean,
you think they're the same? I don't think they're the same. I think Eric Tommy is a much more willing defender than Shapi is.
I think that Tommy is stronger. I don't know about his willingness, but I think that
maybe the willingness is the same. The effectiveness is higher. Let me put it that way.
I would tend to agree with that, but like I said, mostly because I think that just Eric Tommy is physically more imposing and intimidating.
But I think Shallowy could be a good wingback.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. Absolutely. Khiry could be a good wingback. I think Ndenbe could be a good wingback. I mean, there are pieces there if one chose to go down that road.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, and maybe in a future pod we can talk about the advantages and disadvantages of going with a wingback type system versus a standard
Maybe
for
like a 3-4-2-1 where Tommy plays as a second 10 next to Manu.
Hey man, you're like speaking my language right now, buddy. I am all about that kind of tactical flexibility, and I think I mean that's sort of like pragmatism, but next level, right? That's you know, finding ways to really put your best players in positions to succeed, and I think that that's the kind of thing that could really work.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. We're going to let that sit. Although I will say this, Santi Munoz, the man's a finisher. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
If he gets the ball at his feet in the box, if there's a window, he's going to find it. And that's nice to have. We have two of those now. We have two center forwards who are elite finishers.
Now we got to do is find somebody who can get him the ball in the box.
From your lips to God's ears. For sure. But yeah, I mean, he's definitely a player. And as much as I will say that Steven Afrifa's minutes in this game were, reminded me of the Afrifa-ness, but also reminded me of how chaotic he is as a player.
I mean, he was bright from the outset, dude. He did something like he got the ball into the final. Agent, he got the ball in the final third. His first touch, it was like, let's go, man.
He finds himself in places that are good. He somehow dribbles through things that don't look like he's trying to, but he does.
Yeah.
Like it's not what I would call aesthetically pleasing, but it works.
It's like watching Gumby play soccer. His legs are everywhere and he comes away with the ball. It's crazy.
He just all of a sudden he's through with the ball at his feet. I'm not really sure how it happened, but it did.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can't argue the result. I just don't know how repeatable it is, but we've seen it from him enough times. It's just repeatable. Kind of how he plays.
I would love to. I would love to see him more, obviously, but I would also love to, know for real what's been the deal with him, because it's spanned two different coaches. So
something there isn't vibing.
If it's not vibing, he's. Frankly, like I said, I like him, but if something's not right, he's too old to like mess with. Like he's not that old, but like in soccer terms, he's too old to like have like kid gloves developmentally, and you just move on and you go with somebody else. And it's time for the team to kind of have that mentality. And if you're not doing it, then you're gone. And we'll just bring in somebody else, and we'll keep doing that until we find it who works.
I'm not that plussed either way. I don't really care that much.
Sure.
I think Chad Reynolds is on record for not understanding why people are so intrigued by him, which is fine. Like everybody's got different opinions.
It's backup quarterback syndrome, man. Everybody loves the backup quarterback. I mean, that's all it is, really.
Right. It 100% is. I think if Santi Munoz keeps playing like this, it's going to be even harder for Afrifa to get minutes. Though.
Yeah.
Like, then
Production is the most important after availability. Be available, produce.
As Pat Noonan would say, score your fucking goals.
Yeah, that's what it takes.
That's what it takes. The good news is, I think, for some reason, even through all of this, the vibes still seem good. Like the team, the fans still are vibing with this team.
I don't know. There were a lot of people walking out after the fourth goal.
But I think they were more mad at the refs and what happened at the what happened as a result of the red card and stuff like that. Like those are some of the loudest boos I've heard for a ref in the stadium in a long time.
Yeah, people were not crazy
the couple tap-ins that Dallas got, and that just was sort of the end of it, and they were just sort of frustrated. Like I understand rage quitting that game. Like I get it. Like I would get why people would do that. So I think for the most part the vibes are pretty good, especially within the team. And I think that, that's a positive. Even throughout all of this, that's a positive. Okay, we're going to go straight to potpourri this week, just like your favorite Jeopardy category. We've got a couple topics in and around the sporting Kansas City MLS soccer sphere. The first is, I did not see much of this game, but the Kansas City Current win again. They got like 3 goals in the first 20 minutes. One of them was an own goal. And it looked like they were just going to run away again. They were just going to like put 3 on the board and just sort of lock it down after that. They did let Louisville back into this game in the second half. And then, as I noted in the intro, Temwa. What can I say? Like, have you seen the replay of this goal? Because it's unreal. First of all, the ball from Claire Hutton is great, right? Like, it's really good. but it's also fuck it, Temwa down there somewhere.
Right.
It's very much
that is when you have that player on your team, it's okay. That's part
it's
of
okay.
That's
It's
part of
okay
the
to
squad
do that.
building aspect. Absolutely, you do it.
And Temwa runs down. I don't know who this Louisville defender is, but runs down this defender like she's like 5 or 6 yards behind her. Runs down this defender, absolutely shoulders her like almost to the ground. Takes it, a couple dribbles, goal, game, and it was like the most like we are just way better than you moment.
Yeah.
That I've seen from this team in a while. Like we know that they're at a high level, and obviously even with the being
we can curse on the podcast, Drew. Just call it a fuck you moment. It's fine.
It was. I've already been using a lot of the F-bombs today, but yeah, it was a fuck you moment. It literally was. Like it was just we're the fucking queens of this league in this in this parlance, right? And I think that I don't know what else to say. This team is frightening. I would not want to be a coach against the current right now. I would not want to have any part of it. Because I don't even know what you do. Like even when they're down 2 players.
They're down 2 starting players.
Yeah, like and we're talking about elite starters, like best 11 NWSL players.
Yeah.
And they're still just crushing teams. And they're starting center backs out for the year with a torn ACL.
Yep.
Doesn't seem to matter.
No, it does not. And they're the good version of the can't plug up the dam with your fingers because you stop Bia and okay, and then you stop Chawinga, you're like okay, we got this, and then Michelle Cooper balls out and
right. We had the Michelle Cooper conversation last week and how great she's playing, and I've seen even more stats. Like she's actually like analytically like because she was down for like 3 games or whatever. She's analytically like per 90 like probably the best forward in the league right now, and it's how do you deal with that? I don't. Anyway, it's nice.
You signed Barbara Banda.
Yeah, well, how'd that work for Orlando? I mean, they injured 2 of our players, and they still lost.
Season's not over yet, so
yeah. I mean, it's not. That's true. That's a valid point. Is it right at the halfway point? They're 12 games in, right? So they play 24 or they play 26? 26 games now? I don't remember how many teams. 14 teams in the league, so yeah, it'll be 26. Anyway, they're almost at the halfway point, and the vibes are good. You know, talk about good vibes. Like they're with the Kansas City Current right now for sure. Maybe not the best vibes on earth. They're with the U.S. men's national team. How plugged into you to all of this were you, Cody? The Christian Pulisic interview and the Pochettino comments afterward and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard those comments and I've heard snippets of the interview and I've seen the dad tweets or whatever. So yeah.
Oh God, we gotta stop giving certain dads need to just stop. It is the most U.S. soccer thing ever for dads to be getting involved in this shit.
Yes,
isn't it?
Yes. Speaking of a soccer dad who participated in high level pay to play, it is like it's a contact sport out there for these dads, and it's tough to step back and let the kids play sometimes. But
we already had the fucking Reynas doing this. Like, can we stop being helicopter parents about it? The only soccer dad I want to hear from is John McKinney when he's tweeting out pictures with Greg Berhalter and all this other stuff. Like Airborne69 on Twitter. That is literally John McKinney's freaking handle is at Airborne69.
Oh my goodness.
Which is the greatest thing. I'm sorry. It's amazing. He's the only one that has social media commenting privileges at this point. Everyone else's has been revoked. I don't know who's given Christian Pulisic PR advice. They're pretty bad.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. He just says that dude doesn't need to say anything. In fact, most of the time he doesn't say anything. And
I was going to say, normally he doesn't say shit. Just keep saying nothing. Right. Don't come out here like airing grievances about Landon Donovan and different other guys saying stuff in the media and then saying stuff different to you on texts or on phone calls or whatever. Don't be doing that shit. Just don't. This is not the real house. This is not the real teammates of the U.S. men's national team on Bravo TV. Like, we don't need that.
Why? If you're in that position, like, why do you care? You're.
He seems like the last person that would. So that's why I'm so surprised that this happened.
Yeah, people just want to be liked, man. They just can't stand it when they think people don't like them or don't respect them, I guess. I don't know.
It was just a wild situation. And then Mauricio Pochettino with the "I'm not a mannequin" comments. I'm the head coach. I was like, bro. Okay.
I mean, and
shots fired.
Same thing with him. Like, where did that come from? Like, dude, just
he's Argentinian, man. What the fuck do you expect? Come on.
You don't need.
I've met some Argentinian folks
anything.
they're saucy, and he's Argentinian of Italian descent. Like, there's those Italian Argentinians, man. I am married to an Italian woman. I'm gonna tell you, when they feel slighted,
it's on.
Shit's coming back in your direction very quickly. And
but look, so neither one of these people have to do this
it's just messy as hell. It's like super messy. Not Lionel messy, but like actually messy,
like gross messy.
Gross. I found it. I mean, like, it's very much like get your popcorn out kind of shit for sure. And like, if you can separate yourself from that part of it, it's kind of interesting. I'm not sure how much of a difference any of it makes, but I just found the sort of soap opera.
Maybe if the team can't be good, maybe at least U.S. soccer can be entertaining, for that kind of train wreck, stupid shit. So.
I mean, I think that's what Doyle was saying. It's like, we made it. We're a real footballing nation. We just got dumb shit to talk about that has nothing to do with the game.
Who's the French footballer whose mom's always Rabiot?
Adrian Rabiot's mom. Yeah.
And like, that's France, man. I mean, that's big time too, And he's whatever. I could care less about any of that stuff. I'm happy with the performance that the team put on. Against Trinidad and Tobago.
Trinidad was not trying to play soccer, man.
They were dog shit terrible. Like, they were like Sunday rec league defending bad. But
I think Bayern Munich against Auckland City, it might have been more competitive. Even though it was 10-0.
I'm sure Auckland was at least trying, which Trinidad did not seem to be doing.
I mean, Auckland's a semi-pro team. Like, it's like if Bayern played like what was it? It's Tulsa Athletic? No. Tulsa Athletic? Was that the fourth division team that we played? Yeah. That was like a bunch of dudes like had to get time off work to come to the Open Cup game.
Exactly.
Yeah. That was kind of what Auckland City was doing. I agree. I think that what I found fascinating is that obviously my ability to reach players with my negative comments about them on the podcast makes it all the way to the U.S. men's national team.
It's great.
I shit on Patrick Ajimang and
your
Malik
powers
Tillman.
are increasing. It's
both Ajimang, who I said passes to nobody, and Malik Tillman, who I said I don't understand why people are so high on him. Had Ajimang had a bunch of combining moments with the ball.
He did.
Beyond his big Pat moments where he just dominates people physically. And then Malik Tillman was really, really good in this game. Now, I mean, I think playing for PSV, where most of his opponents are much worse than him, he's familiar with how to dominate a terrible opponent, which is good.
Especially in the box.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to overstate how bad TNT was in their own box. Like, you and I could have gotten off shots in the box. Like, that's how they were not defending at all. They were slow and yeah.
There was a play, I think it was in the second half, where Alex Freeman ran onto a ball, like it looked like he was trying to run onto it, and then he realized that who was playing right wing? Was it McGlynn was over there? Mm-hmm. And he let McGlynn receive it, and he just made the overlap instead. And TNT's win back didn't even follow him. Just like, I don't care.
I'm going to go follow the guy who can't run. That's who I'm going to guard. That's smart defending right there. That's what I would do. I'd be like, here, somebody else get the guy who runs. I'm going to defend this guy who can't run.
Yeah, so of course McGlynn just one touches it to Freeman, and he's just like, he's got like 40 yards vertically and horizontally just to run into with the ball. So yeah, it was not a very interested performance by the Trinidad and Tobago, but
I just love Diego Luna so much.
man,
I love both Diego Lunas so much.
That's Andor season 2, fantastic, by the way, really fucking good.
Let's just retire that name. I think it can't get any better.
No more. We cannot have any more Diego Lunas because the 2 we have are way too fucking awesome for us to like.
And just when I think that football Diego Luna can't get any better, he waxes the mustache wax. Like, come on, dude, seriously, you look ridiculous.
Looks like he
but
wants to be the
matter.
next Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
Sure, put him in, man. He's a lock. He has big time pirate vibes for sure.
He does have sort of the crusty pirate vibes. That is actually probably right in his wheelhouse. I'm not sure about the blonde hair, but everything else is sort of crusty pirate vibes. I think that the thing about Luna and that I really enjoyed from this game, and just especially against a bad opponent, you get to see it so much. His off-ball movement is fucking brilliant, man.
And incessant.
Yeah, constant. He doesn't stop moving.
Yeah.
He never stops moving. And he finds pockets better than anyone in the pool. I don't know anyone in the U.S. men's national team pool that moves as much as he does and finds pockets of space as well as he does. Like, there's a lot, like, watching this Sporting Kansas City game again today, like, there's a lot of fucking standing around that happens once they get the ball in the attacking third. There's not a whole lot of movement happening. I had a whole thing on that I didn't get into, and I'm glad I didn't because I don't want to be grumpy. But Luna, his movement is unbelievable. Like, his soccer IQ is so good. He saw it, like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Alvin Jones's back pass is fucking terrible. Like, it's really bad that he intercepts and turns into the second goal. But it's almost like he knew Alvin Jones was going to back pass before Alvin Jones knew he was going to back pass.
Yeah. But
he's already jumped it before the ball.
The amazing thing is he didn't, but he knew it was a possibility, and he was willing to put in the work, even though it was just a possibility, right? He's willing to make those off-ball runs, even if he's not going to get the ball, because he's not always going to get the ball. The ball's not always going to come his way, but he's always willing to make those runs because on the off chance that something happens and he does get that ball, and it's that trope that I've repeated over and over again, that you have to be optimistic when you're an attacker, and yes, you do, but you have to translate that into like activity, and he is constantly optimistic in his activity, and when he passes, he always moves into be in a better place to receive than a pass back. And what I used to always tell my teams is that you should never be standing still in soccer. And no matter where you are, you can always be in a better place. You should always be moving, and he is always moving. He's always finding a better place, and he's doing so with an eye towards being an effective attacker, and that's why he's good. And I think I am so excited that he is stating his case. That is by far I think the most exciting and optimistic thing about the United States men's team right now is just his emergence.
Certainly in this tournament, yeah.
No, I mean, I yes, in the tournament, but like overall, like, I mean, like the rest of the squad is kind of bogged down, and they've got drama, and many of them aren't playing in the Gold Cup, and he's like a bright shining spot in everything, and it's just like I don't know. I just love the dude, and it's like he's channeled the spirit of Arturo Vidal, into an attacking midfielder instead of just a box to box, lawnmower.
He needs to break out that mohawk, man. That spiky mohawk. Like, dude, that would be insane.
I loved Arturo Vidal so much.
I think that so like you've been early on the Diego Luna hype train. Like a couple years now that you've been on the Diego Luna hype train, and I joined you fairly early. Like we have been long appreciators of him on this podcast, but I'll agree with you. Like, he is at a level I did not expect him to already be at.
Yeah.
Like his quality has improved so much. And the big thing, there's a good interview. I know it's paywall, but on Backheeled they did. Joe Lowry interviewed a bunch of people, including Pablo Mastroeni and a number of people around Diego Luna, as to kind of how he kind of came up. You know, he actually grew up in the Bay Area and then went to Arizona to the Barca Residency Academy, and then, you know, played at El Paso before getting to RSL, and just all the different things he's done to try to like turn his career into something himself. And he it talks kind of through like what they saw in him originally, and like the Barca Residency Academy folks were like, this is like the most ridiculous player we've seen here. And like the other kids in the academy would ask when Diego's team was playing because they wanted to watch him. Like that is like the level of player he has always been. And I understand, you know, he's a bit of a square player, right? So like there's some of the negative point of view that comes from that. Like, is he a fit player or whatever? I mean, I don't think you can watch him. Fitness is not his problem.
If anything, I think those concerns make him play harder. Like he's just one of those guys. Like he runs all the time.
But he was not a very good defender when he came to MLS. Like,
no, he was not.
No, he was not. But he's improved so much in that regard. His counter pressing in this game was insane. Like it was really, really good. And granted, it was against a team that was not of the level or trying that hard. But also you can see
he was doing it late into the game. Like he didn't let up. 100%. Right? He was just he was out for blood.
And it's nice to see. And I think maybe it was just this game, specifically this opponent, where Pochettino was doing this. But I think we've seen enough from the last 3 games that we can see that Poch is sort of prioritizing real footballers, like guys who can play, not guys who follow a tactical structure and meet a tactical need. It's like he's putting guys who can play on the field. Like, there's no reason Max Arfston would still be back out there at left back after the performance he got against Switzerland, unless he was just like more about, I want guys who do fun shit on the field. And he's prioritizing that. Between Tillman and Luna and Jack McGlynn, like, I know statues that are more mobile than Jack McGlynn. Like he's like these are guys who just have a lot of like really fun creative capability, and like that cross McGlynn hit into Luna in the first half. Like I made a noise. Like I was like, oh my god, this is like this is not shit we've seen the national team do. Like we haven't had those guys in there. We've had a whole lot of modern football guys. Yeah, is the best way I can describe it.
Yeah, positional play rule followers. You know,
athletes who have decent touch and follow structure.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. But nobody who can open a game up on their own.
Yeah.
And or, you know, like Luna, he's so like head up looking to combine.
Yeah,
like
always. Even if he's right in front of the goal mouth, he'll like just combine rather than he's
checking to see if there's a better shot to be had. Right.
Who else on the team would do that? Gio Reyna would never.
Well, not only that, like if you look at the goal they scored where they had like where Malik Tillman scores and then McGlynn is running behind him, and so like if Tillman misses it, McGlynn's got it at the far post. And like I think they said this on Scuff this during their post game sort of overview of it, was that if Gio Reyna was in Malik Tillman's role, he would have stopped at the penalty box. He would have stopped 100%. At the penalty at the penalty mark and asked for a shot from the penalty marker, right? Which
there are sporting players who were very much guilty of that kind of stuff on
100%. Yeah, I'm not. Listen, we're not making a comparison with Sporting right now. I've been clear about my concerns about this team as far as like creating chances and whatnot. It's just nice to watch. I mean, again, against significantly limited opponent, but still just like ball out like that.
Yeah,
especially after the Switzerland. I mean, it looked like they were playing a different sport.
Yeah,
than the Switzerland game. And hopeful that, you know, that continues. They've got, was it Saudi Arabia on Thursday night?
Yeah, Saudi on Thursday.
It's gonna be
and
a much harder opponent than Trinidad, and then
Haiti.
Haiti, who has some athletes on that team. So it's gonna be a lot harder the next two games, but it's nice to just enjoy that team playing soccer again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been grim for a while.
It has been. The Club World Cup's happening, if you can find it. I mean, it's happening. Some of the games have been fun. I have enjoyed some of them, but I understand it's not the easiest thing to find. You got to get your DAZN app out, and people are like, what the hell is that? Some of them are on TNT, but I think most of the MLS games have been the games with MLS teams in them have been on broadcast TV, so they're a little easier to find. There have been some cool environments for some of them, but yeah, it's I think it's a thing that would be much more, I don't know, interesting to folks if it wasn't laden with all of the FIFA stuff that created it in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that kind of turns me off. I have not watched a single one of the games. I've kind of loosely paid attention to what's going on, but I'm happy that the MLS teams are at least putting on a good showing for themselves. They're not getting stomped, and so I'm obviously happy about that. But it's just, I don't know. It's just hard for me to care, honestly, a lot about it. I kind of I enjoy summers because it's kind of a break from watching club soccer. I really love watching club soccer. Don't get me wrong. That's what I spend all of my weekends doing. Every when it's not summer, that's all I do. And so it's kind of a nice break. And so I'm just kind of, non-engaged with the whole thing, unfortunately.
I mean, that's fair. I don't think that's wrong necessarily. It's just
Right.
everybody's got their own sort of priorities about it, and I'm tuning in from time to time, but I'm far from watching it regularly. I did happen to catch most of the LAFC Chelsea match, and LAFC acquitted themselves much better than I thought they would. And Bouanga probably should have scored in that game, to be honest. So Dennis Bouanga still got free against Chelsea's defense. Yeah. So I mean, they've made Chelsea sort of play their game. So I was sort of surprised by that part of it too, that Chelsea sort of played their game. Now, granted, they just have better players, and there was a couple sequences where they just, do what a team with 10x the salary or 10x the
10x.
I
mean, that's. Is it? I would bet it's more than 10x, but maybe.
Well, if you include all 47 players they have on their roster, yeah, it's probably more than that. But of the guys they actually brought to the Club World Cup, yeah, roster value is probably north of $1 billion versus the 60 or 70 million that LAFC's got. So yeah. It's probably I don't know. I'm speaking. I'm just sort of estimating off the top of my head. Okay, one thing to look for. Well, we don't have much to look for this week because there is no game this weekend.
There is not.
Sporting Kansas City does not play a game again until next Wednesday against Charlotte at home. No big Pat Ajimam for that one for Charlotte FC because he will be with the Gold Cup team. I mean, assuming they don't get grouped.
They're not going to get grouped.
Things would have to get pretty bad from this point for them to get grouped. But I mean, I don't know. What do we look for? Zoran Basong is on the Canada roster. I'm going to have to check it right now to see if he's playing tonight. I doubt it, but the rosters aren't even out yet. So we don't know if Zoran Basong will be playing tonight or not. But good for him. Canada starts their Gold Cup campaign. So as we're recording this on Tuesday night, they start at 9:30, I think, against Honduras.
Yeah.
I think we just want these guys to get healthy because they don't have a very deep roster. So we need as many good players to be healthy as humanly possible for all the reasons that Cody went into earlier about plugging holes in the so few players that you can count on regularly to put in good performances that when any of them are unavailable, it becomes a problem for this club. So hopeful to see that. Jake going an hour on Saturday is a good sign, I think, for him to be in pretty good shape for this game on Wednesday.
It would be nice to see a run of games with him in the midfield and see how that actually looks, because
especially with that sort of inverted Khiry thing with him overlapping on the right and Shapi. I think that was interesting, even if it limits their ability to attack the box, because Kyrie's rest defensive position doesn't allow him to really make that run into the box there. I did like kind of that structure over there. It was interesting.
Yeah. So let's hope that we get a close to 90 minutes fit Jake Davis after this, and let's hope that Zoran Basong does not get any injuries because we can't really afford that. But otherwise, it's okay to have a nice break. It's going to be in the 90s this weekend. We don't need to go sit out in 90 degree heat. There'll be plenty of those days coming. So just take a break. Maybe I'll have to bite the bullet and watch some Club World Cup, or Gold Cup more likely. But yeah, it's early summer in Kansas City. Get out, and the weather's been nice, so touch grass, so to speak.
In a positive way, right?
In a positive
just go
way.
outside and enjoy the Kansas City, the June in Kansas City. We've been pretty blessed, honestly, this month. Normally it's way hotter than this by now.
It's been so nice,
Yeah, and we're going to get a little rain front coming through that's going to knock the temperatures down a little bit this weekend too, which will be nice. So
if you want to get into bird watching, hit up the Discord. Somebody will help you.
May or may not be an off topic, may or not be in the USL channel. No one.
It could be anywhere. We'll find you. I will find you wherever you are. So
don't ask why. It just is where it is. It's fine.
Right.
And until next time, I'm Drew. He's Cody. We will talk to y'all then.
Go Sporting.